Hello, it's Richard at Richard's Guitars, and today I am going to be bringing you a bit of a different one. Here I have my two deliveries. As you'll see from the box, Eastman, and inside these two guitars are two wonderful, hopefully, E10SS guitars. The E10SS is, we are looking at Adirondack spruce top, mahogany back and sides, slope shoulder dreadnought with an exquisite aging that is done to the top, back and sides. The idea today is to show one of my good customers to show a customer. Hopefully anyone who buys a guitar from me is a good customer. But I wanted to show this particular fellow guitarist two examples of the same guitar. Let's see how they look and how they sound and how they compare coming straight out the box. So I will unwrap them and we'll see where we go. Okay, well, I got them both out the box and just had a quick check over them, and they both sound, well, let's not tell you how they sound. I've just don't spoil it. So let's start with this one here. And so what you see with this, okay, let's just take a look. So this is the normal kind of the E10SS. I featured this guitar a couple of years ago when it first came out, and they weren't using this tiger stripe plate. And actually now, if I didn't have them with that on, I feel like they look bare when they're missing it. These are handmade in America. So what you then have is this aged finish. Look at this. Oh, it's on the side here. So you'll see this is where my arm would rub. So you have this kind of beautiful kind of, like, how they do that is it's hard to imagine how they get that so well done. It all matches around, look, where your body would rub against and your arm would rub against the lower bout. Beautiful finish. The way they stain the guitars is absolutely magnificent. Look at that. And you can see in the centre you've got that rubbing, if you like, in the centre where your body would be rubbing against it. Standout marks on this would be the some little markings around here, around where you're on the lower bout, where your arm would come over, and relatively clear on this one, and then some of the edge markings, some wear on the back, around the side, around here, where beyond your lap, I suppose. No, that's your shoulder, that's your arm coming over again. So they think about it all, and then some stuff here. Right, that's that one visually. Now let's look at this one. Okay, so this is number two. So these could be going to two different customers, and these are the guitars they'd get. The first thing that strikes me is very similar concepts, not extraordinarily different, but what you will see is, because they're all handmade, a slightly different approach. So we've got so this one's got a few more, what I'd call, like, in terms of how the person would have owned this, if this was an old vintage guitar, there's some markings around here, which are a little bit more than on there, on the last one. So a few more, but they look great. It all looks in context. A few little marks, so a little bit more, just a little bit more aged on terms of the front on this one. So if I try and, unfortunately, as I come forward, I lose the monitor, so I lose track of what I'm doing. So let's just try and get those marks that I was telling you about. So I don't know if you can see around here. So just a few more marks around there and around here. You should be able to see those when you look. So let's have a look at the finish on this one. So again, definitely a little bit more. Look, this one looks a little bit more worn looking around the edge. So a bit more aging. And this one's definitely got more figuring in the back, look. That mahogany definitely got more cross grain on the mahogany back. That's gorgeous. So that's rather nice. And some of that wearing on the side. So let's look at those two side by side, back to back. you can see the difference on that one. There's all that extra cross grain. This one's more, oh, it's still gorgeous, but just doesn't have the same level of cross grain and same level of. So that's the difference between this one and this one. Okay, so let's just keep track of these. So this one's got a little bit more wear, but with a bit more flame. If I was going to talk about them aesthetically. Okay, tonally, let's hear them. So let's listen to a G chord. They just sound staggering, these guitars. The E10SS is just such a beautiful, you get kind of a sweeter sound, but it has just to do with the physics of the way the sound bounces around inside the guitar. But there's something about the slope shoulder guitar that, certainly in this range, that really appeals to me. Again, Eastman guitars, the sustain out of these things is, they just ooze, the notes just fall out of them, as I say. So that's that. So that's that. That's the first one. Now have a listen to that then. Let's see how that compares to the exact same model. Exact same model, remember. I'm not so sure. I want to be honest, I want to tell you if I hear anything, nothing jumped at me hugely. So let's listen to this G chord. Beautiful sound, just gorgeous. G, 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 G. They sound absolutely ridiculously similar. Okay, maybe. Hang on. Goodness, if I was having to say something constructive, I think that one is just a slight tad, little bit lighter, little bit brightness in that one. So let's just hear if that's whether that could be the age of the strings. They've got exactly the same brand of string. This is why it's fascinating. Exactly the same brand of string, same everything. So I'm going to just have to take a bit of time. I'll edit it if I look like I'm waffling on too long. So. Oh, they're so simple. They really are. I want to hear something. Let's try this. The great thing about these guitars, it's absolutely amazing, is you can whack them so hard and they're so controlled with it. It's the great benefit of mahogany over, I think, over rosewood, I would say. And maybe this Adirondack top has something to do with that as well, that it kind of keeps everything very controlled and stops it from breaking up and becoming very broken up and edgy and sharp. And you could really, if you were playing a club or a camping session, you could really bellow this out, whack it really hard. And it just deals with it. Just sounds amazing. I'm enjoying this actually. Oh gosh, because I'm doing this for somebody, I don't want to say, because I think there's an element, especially when I watch it back, I think I'll learn more when I watch it back and hear. But just so that I know. Oh! Do I say it? I don't know. If I was going to have one of these for my own personal, I don't want to sway someone when someone's potentially, well, probably is buying one of these. Oh, by the way, I just want to, before I actually say that, another incredible point about these, and it's just why I sell these guitars. I mean, they're just off the scale in terms of the pleasure you get from playing them. I mean, it's just crazy. Because you would think this was you'd think this was an antique I would if I saw the amount of people that come into my shop, sadly, which obviously is closed now, available online, of course. But if someone came into my showroom and looked at this, the amount of times people have got, who don't know the brand, they just presume that this is an old antique, and I think that is a real credit to the brand, because relic guitars and guitars that are made to look old never have that. I've never heard that ever. The only time I've ever heard someone think a guitar genuinely is an old guitar is an Eastman, because they just have this ridiculously kind of, there's a word for it, sympathetic process they go to aging the guitars, and they are unique and individually done. What I was going to say was, both of these guitars have the stereotypical fantastic saddle height. The amount of room to develop both of these, because both of them have got what I'd call perfectly adequate, perfectly, if you bought this out the box you wouldn't be disappointed. I can play this no problem at all. However, for an extended period of time, there's no question you'd want the action lowering a bit. But that's why they're made like this. They're made so that you can have them set up exactly as you want them. Tons of saddle height, perfect geometry. The action is set so that it's ready to go to whatever anybody wants, but you'll always improve it. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying that. But both of them have equally exactly the same amount of height, plenty of saddle height. On both of them, if you can see that, ready to be adjusted. So that's another important point. Right, yeah. So yeah, that's that then. So I'm hoping that's who the gentleman who's asked me to do this has seen enough. So there's that one, and there's that one. So there you go, there's your two. And bearing in mind that one looks beautiful in a more natural, traditional, you could almost say, way. Looks more like what you might expect to see in your attic. This one has got a little bit more flamboyancy about it with the grain. Pretty yummy. I will remember which one just has my slight, if I was in this process doing it for me, there is one here that I would probably just favour, but which one do you think came across better? Do you have a favourite? It'd be interesting to know. Well guys, that's it. I will see you soon. Ta-da, bye.